My name is Maria Mills. I'm a sergeant in the U.S. Special Forces. 3 months ago, I woke up in a military hospital. My shoulder was out of place, and my face was badly swollen. But the worst pain wasn't my injuries. It was what I couldn't forget. I saw my mom standing in my apartment doorway, frozen and silent, while my stepfather, Corbin, was choking me. Before I passed out, I sent a 3-letter text that saved my life. Before I tell you how my military family answered that SOS, tell me where you're watching from. Like and subscribe if you believe home should feel safe, not dangerous. But it didn't start like this. I grew up in a quiet suburb of Los Angeles. Life felt perfect. We lived in a small house in the San Fernando Valley. My dad was an aerospace engineer, calm and careful. On weekends, he took me surfing at Santa Monica and taught me to face every wave. My mom was an English teacher who loved books. I felt safe and loved. Then everything broke. One rainy Tuesday, my dad was killed in a crash on the freeway. After that, my mom fell apart. She quit her job and stayed in her room with the curtains closed. At Duables, I learned to take care of myself, making food, doing laundry, and staying quiet to avoid trouble. Money got tight. Bills piled up. My mom started selling her things just to keep us afloat. When I was 14, Corbin Vance showed up. He was a contractor hired to fix our roof. At first, he seemed like a hero. He fixed things, brought groceries, made my mom laugh again, and helped her handle the paperwork. He acted like he was saving us. Then they got engaged and he showed his real face. He gave me a silver necklace, leaned close, and whispered, "Your dad is gone. Now I'm in charge. Know your place." My mom didn't hear it. She just smiled, happy and hopeful. After the wedding, the controls started fast. He ripped my headphones off and made a rule. Doors stay open. No privacy. No space. My mom stayed silent. And that silence taught me one thing: this house was no longer ours. For years, Corbin didn't need to hit me. He used fear, rules, and shame. In public, he played the good family man. In private, he owned the room and my mom let him. At Duables, I won a writing award about my dad and the ocean. I ran home excited. Corbin mocked it, called it useless, and blamed my mom for filling my head. I waited for her to defend me. She didn't. She told me to put it away. That broke something in me. I got a barista job to save money and breathe. My first paycheck felt like freedom until Corbin took it. He made me write down every hour and every dollar, then said my money belonged to him because I lived under his roof. On my 18th birthday, he slid an envelope across the table. It was a community college application already filled out. He picked my major. He picked my future. When I said I wanted journalism in a university far away, he exploded. That night, I asked my mom, "Why do you let him do this?" She finally told the truth. She was scared. Scared to be alone. Scared she couldn't provide. Then she grabbed my hand and whispered, "You're stronger than me. Don't let him break you. Go. Save yourself." The next day, I told Corbin I was going to the library. I didn't. I went to a recruiting office. The recruiter warned me it would be brutal. I told him I could handle brutal. I'd lived with it. The only problem was I needed a parent's signature. That night, when Corbin left, I showed my mom the papers. She cried, hesitated, then signed. When I told Corbin at dinner, he lost it. He screamed that I belonged to him. He raised his hand like he always did, but this time I didn't flinch. I told him, "You don't own me." The day I left, he tried to humiliate me and said I'd take nothing from that house. I picked up one thing anyway, a small photo of my dad in uniform. My mom hugged me tight and gave me $200 she'd saved over time. She whispered, "Be strong." I got on the bus and didn't look back. I was free yet. I'd never felt so alone. Training was hell, but it was different. Corbin tried to break me, to erase me. The army tried to break me, to rebuild me. And every time my body wanted to quit, I remembered why I left. In one long land navigation march, I slipped, injured my ankle, and went down hard. I thought I was finished. My biggest rival, Sloane, could have left me behind. She didn't. She stopped, pulled out supplies, and built me a splint right there in the mud. Sloane lifted my pack onto her shoulders, like it was nothing. All 120 pounds. She looked at me and said, "Get up, LA. We don't leave anyone behind." That night, we sat by a small smoky fire, soaked and covered in mud, sharing one cold can of spaghetti. She didn't talk about my injury or what she did for me. We just sat there, quiet. For the first time in 6 years, I didn't feel alone. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I belonged to a team. Our commander was Captain Eva Rus. She had sharp gray eyes and a hard reputation. She almost never smiled and never handed out praise. In my final evaluation, I sat across from her in her bare office. She studied my file, then stared straight at me. "Mills," she said, "your file says you came here to run from something. Most runners don't last." She leaned forward. "But you're not a runner. You're a fighter. You take hits, you adapt, and you don't quit." She shut the file and said, "Welcome to the team." Those words hit me harder than any training ever did. Not because it was sweet, but because I earned it. After graduation, I got assigned to a West Coast base, close enough to smell the ocean again, but far from my old life. I moved into a small one-bedroom on base. It was plain and boring, but it was mine. The first time I went shopping, I froze in the cereal aisle. I could buy what I wanted, eat when I wanted. No one watched me. No one controlled me. That kind of freedom felt unreal. That night, I called home. My mom answered in a quiet, nervous voice. I could hear a TV in the background. "Mom, it's me. I'm okay," I said. "I graduated. I have my own place." She stayed silent for a long time. Then she whispered, "I'm so glad, baby," and quickly said she had to go. The call ended. I knew she was proud, but she was still trapped, and he was still right there. My new life became steady, training, work, and weekends with Sloan in the unit. But the calls home never felt normal. My mom always sounded tense, like someone was listening. When I asked if she was okay, she always said the same line, "I'm fine, honey." Then she changed the subject. I could always hear him in the background asking who it was, or telling her to get off the phone. One day, I told her about a hiking trip with Sloan. I wanted to share something good. She barely reacted, then said, "That's nice. Corbin just built a new fence. It's very tall." The way she said, "It's flat and empty," told me everything. He wasn't fixing the house. He was building her cage higher. At Christmas, a card arrived with a photo of my mom by a small tree. She was smiling, but her eyes looked tired. Then I noticed a bruise near her temple, half hidden under makeup. I called right away. "Mom, the bruise, in the photo." Silence. Then she whispered, "I fell on the stairs. You know me?" The lie was worse than the bruise. It meant she was protecting him. "I'm coming home," I said. She panicked. "No, Maria. Please. It'll get worse." Then I heard Corbin's voice. He grabbed the phone and growled, "What are you going to do? Call the cops? Who's going to believe you?" Then the line went dead. I stood there in my quiet apartment with the dead phone in my hand. I was trained to face danger, but I couldn't reach my own mother. That night, Sloan found me in the gym, hitting a heavy bag like I was trying to break it in half. When I told her everything, she listened and then said, "You can't save someone who won't leave, but you can show them there's a way out." She looked me in the eyes. "You're not that scared kid anymore. You're a sergeant. Treat this like a mission." She was right. I stopped thinking like a helpless daughter. I started thinking like a soldier. I opened my laptop and booked a one-way ticket to Los Angeles. When I arrived, the house looked the same, but it felt darker. My mom opened the door before I knocked. She was thinner, her eyes hollow. She hugged me fast, like she was afraid. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. Then Corbin stepped into view behind her, wiping his hands on dirty jeans. He looked me up and down and smirked. "Well, look who's back," he said, all dressed like a soldier. Still scared inside, though. I looked past him at the wall and my stomach dropped. The photos of my father were gone. Every one. In their place were hunting pictures of Corbin posing with dead animals. He didn't just take over the house. He erased my dad. For the next day, Corbin stayed close, always listening. When he finally stepped away, I slipped a small card into my mom's Honda hotline and shelter number. "Mom, they can help. Safe places, lawyers, everything," I whispered. She stared at it like it was dangerous. Her eyes filled with fear. She shoved it into her pocket and whispered, "I don't need that. Everything is fine." But I knew the truth. He didn't just trap her in the house. He trapped her in her own mind. I listened with my fork hanging over my plate, holding myself together the way the military taught me. I stayed calm right up until he placed his hand on my mother's ass and smiled like he was a good man. "She's a lucky woman." Something inside me snapped. "So the bruise on her face in the Christmas photo?" I said, my voice low and sharp. Was that part of your care too? The whole room went silent heavy, ringing quiet. My mother's fork slipped and hit her plate with a clink. She froze like she couldn't breathe. Corbin set his fork down slowly. His friendly smile disappeared, and what was underneath showed through hard, ugly, dangerous. "You better watch your mouth," he whispered, leaning toward me. "You haven't been here. You don't know what's right anymore. You left her. I'm the one who stayed." The next morning, I was heading out for the airport when he blocked me in the entryway. My mother had already disappeared into the back of the house, like she'd given up without a fight. "You think you're smart?" he said, his voice low and rough. "You think you can fly in, cause problems, and fly out?" He stepped closer, crowding me on purpose. "It's a small world, little soldier. You can run, but you can't hide. I know where you are. I know where you work. And if I can't keep your mother quiet and peaceful, you won't have peace either." It wasn't a temper burst. It wasn't a careless threat. It was a promise. On the plane, rising above the lights of Los Angeles, I didn't feel safe. I felt the kind of fear you get after walking through a minefield when you realize you heard the first click behind you. I hadn't fixed anything. I'd started something. Back on base, the routines helped. Morning runs, inspections, briefings. Everything had rules. And rules were easier than memories. My uniform looked solid in the closet clean lines. Sharp stripes. Proof I wasn't that helpless kid anymore. But fear doesn't care about proof. It had lived in me too long. I became jumpy. Every white pickup truck made my heart spike. Every sound outside my apartment at night pulled me awake, stiff and listening. I started checking my door lock 3 times before bed, then again, just to be sure Sloan noticed. We were at the range one afternoon when my hand shook as I reloaded. "He's in your head, Mills," she said quietly, eyes still on her target. "That's where he fights. Don't let him win there." I tried. I buried myself in work. I pushed harder. I told myself I was trained, prepared, tougher than I used to be. 2 weeks later, the first real warning hit. My phone rang late at night. It was my mother. Her voice was cracked and frantic, like the words were tripping over each other. "Corbin's gone. He left hours ago. He said he had something to take care of. Mariacito, he took his hunting rifle." Then the call dropped. I called back again and again. Straight to voicemail. My skin went cold. I reported it to Captain Rotova as a possible threat. She listened, serious, but without a clear message aimed at me. There wasn't much the military police could officially do. "Stay alert, Sergeant," she said. Her expression carried the rest of the warning. That night, my phone rang again. Blocked number. My stomach tightened. I answered anyway. "Hello?" Nothing. No voice. No breathing. Just dead silence. But it wasn't empty. Under the static, faint and far away, I heard music, some little radio playing a country song I knew too well. "Friends in Low Places." Corbin's favorite karaoke song. The one he'd scream at every backyard party. My mouth went dry. He wasn't just coming. He was letting me know he was enjoying it. After that, the little attacks started slow, careful, and mean. A few mornings later, I found a single cigarette butt on the concrete below my bedroom window. A crushed Marlboro Red. His brand. Another day, an email showed up with no subject and no message, only one blurry photo attached. I opened it with shaking hands. It was a picture of my old treehouse from childhood, the one my dad built in our backyard. Across it was a messy red X, like spray paint. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. He wasn't back in California. He was close. Watching. Playing his sick game. I reported everything: the call, the cigarette, the email. But it was always the same problem. No direct proof, no clean trail. Every piece was just coincidence, if you looked at it the way he wanted you to. And slowly, he started winning where it mattered most inside my head. Then, the storm came. One of those nights where the wind sounds angry and the rain hits the windows like thrown gravel. I sat on my couch with a book open on my lap, but I hadn't read a word in an hour. I kept staring at the front door, at the lack ID already checked too many times. Around 10, there was a knock. Not loud, not violent, just soft, almost polite. Tap, tap, tap. My whole body locked up. "Who is it?" I called out, and my voice sounded thin, like it belonged to someone else. "No, answer. Answer." Only the wind and rain. I stepped forward and looked through the peephole. Lucas finds hope through nothing. Just an empty walkway washed in rain beneath a porch light that flickered like it was about to die. It's just the wind, I told myself. A branch? Something stupid, I exhaled and turned away, and that's when everything shattered. A loud crackwood and metal snapping filled the apartment. The door exploded inward, ripped off its hinges like it was made of paper, and Corbin stood there in the doorway, drenched and wild, stormlight behind him. His eyes were red. Burning! Wrong! I told you! He screamed over the thunder, grinning like a madman. You can't hide! For a split second, the little girl inside me, the one who watched her mother fall apart, screamed in pure terror. Then, training took over. The fear didn't disappear because I was brave. It disappeared because my body knew what to do. When Corbin lunged at me, I didn't back up. My feet moved into position without thought. I turned with his rush, used his own force against him, dropped my weight, and threw him hard one clean hip toss I'd practiced 1,000 times. He was strong, big, furious, but strength doesn't beat gravity. He slammed sideways into my cheap coffee table, and it burst apart, sawdust and splinters flying, the crash sounding like a gunshot in the small room. And this wasn't training. No mats, no whistle, no one to stop it. My apartment was small and packed with furniture, leaving almost no room to move. Corbin wasn't fighting like a normal man anymore. He was running on 10 years of rotting hate. He pulled himself up from the mess with a rough animal sound. A sharp piece of the broken table was stuck in his forearm, but he acted like he couldn't feel it. He rushed me again, head down, wild, heavy like a bull, trying to gore me. My living room turned into a trap. The fight stopped being clean or skilled. It became ugly and desperate. Just two bodies fighting for life. We slammed into the wall. A framed photo of my training graduation shook loose and crashed to the floor. Glass burst everywhere. I drove my knee into the side of his thigh, aiming for the nerve that can shut a leg down. He grunted, but he didn't let go. His hands clenched tighter on my clothes. Then he used his weight like a weapon, lifted me, and threw me. I hit the edge of the sofa hard. Pain flashed through my ribs and the air blasted out of my lungs. Before I could even suck in a breath, he was on top of me, crushing me into the floor. I tasted blood. His punches came down like Rick's messy swings, but powerful. I covered my face with my arms. Every hit rattled my teeth and shook my head like a bell. I tried to lock him up in armbar, a choke, anything to stop his strength, but he fought through everything. His rage made him feel unnatural, like pain and limits didn't apply to him. A punch landed clean on the side of my head. The world flashed white. Another shot caught my shoulder wrong. Something popped. Heat and sickness rushed through me as my shoulder slipped out of place. My left arm went dead under me. My vision started to smear at the edges, turning gray and fuzzy. And then I saw her. Behind Corbin's sweating back, in the ruined doorway, stood a shape against the storm outside. My mother. He must have forced her to come with him, dragged her 2,000 miles like luggage. A hostage on his revenge trip. She didn't cry out. She didn't run to me. She didn't even flinch. Her face looked blank, like a mask. Her eyes were empty, lifeless, like a doll's. She just watched while I was getting beaten into the floor of my own home. That hurt worse than any punch. It wasn't fear, it was something sharper, like the final proof that she wasn't coming back to me, like the last betrayal. You're just like your father, Corbin shouted, his face twisted with fury. Stubborn. Useless. He meant it to break me. Instead, it lit something inside me. I wasn't only fighting for my life anymore. I was fighting for my father's name, for everything Corbin had tried to destroy. I tried to buck him off. I twisted, kicked, shoved anything. But my body was fading. He was too heavy, too planted. He grabbed my hair and slammed my head against the hardwood floor. Stars burst behind my eyes. The room tilted. Then he shifted his knees, pinning my arms. His hands thick and rough. The same hands that once pretended to help fix our home closed around my throat. You took everything from me, he hissed. His breath hit my face, hot and foul with whiskey and anger. His grip tightened. My airway closed. My lungs burned. I tried to pull air in, but there was nothing. Black spots bloomed in my vision and spread until the room started to disappear. I felt myself sinking, like drowning in cold, silent water. This was it. I was losing. He was going to snuff me out just like he had crushed whatever was left inside my mother years ago. My body started to go limp. But then a thought cut through the darkness, a voice that wasn't his. It was Sloane's. We leave no one behind. I saw faces in my mind of my team. My real family. Bratova, hardite and proud. Sloane, loyal and fierce. The men who had become my brothers. They were my reason to fight. My anchor, with everything I had left. My right arm flailed weakly beside me. My fingers scraped something smooth and cool. My phone, it must have fallen out during the fight. I couldn't see the screen. My hands were clumsy. My brain felt far away, but muscle memory did the work movements I'd practiced 1,000 times. Swipe up, tap the message app, tap where Sloane's name always was. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. 3 letters, 3 desperate taps. SOS, my hand dropped, the last bit of light vanished, and the dark water closed over me. I don't know how long I was out, seconds, minutes. It felt endless. The first thing that pulled me back wasn't Corbin's voice. It was noise shouting, sharp orders, heavy boots pounding across my floor. Sirens rising and falling, getting closer. When my eyes finally opened, Sloane was above me. Her face was pale and scared in a way I'd never seen. Her eyes usually calm, unreadable but wide with horror. More controlled. More real. It was the careful, steady presentation of truth piece by piece in tow. There was nowhere left for lies to hide. With Captain Monroe beside me like a shield, I took the stand in my dress uniform. I faced the courtroom, the row of officers serving as the jury, and Corbin sitting at the defense table, pretending to look calm, pretending to look misunderstood, pretending to look like the victim. And I told my story, not with rage, not with begging, not with tears. I told it the way the Army trained me to report facts. Clearly, directly, and without leaving gaps. I explained the long years of psychological abuse, how it started small and grew. I described the controlling behavior, the money games, the threats that got worse over time, and the moment it turned into full violence. And it wasn't only my words. The JAG team had built a mountain of proof. Financial records, witness statements from people I worked with. Threatening emails, forensic evidence from my apartment. Every detail that could back me up, they found it, documented it, and put it on the record. Then came the cross-examination. Corbin's attorney tried the old trick, make me sound like the problem. He spoke in a slow, superior tone, like he expected the room to agree with him. "Isn't it true, Sergeant?" he asked, "that you had a history of defying Mr. Vance's authority?" Before I could answer, a movement in the gallery caught my eye. Sloane stood up, then Captain Russ, then Colonel Thorne, then soldier after soldier from my unit. My people rose to their feet with them. No words, no shouting, just a wall of uniforms, standing together in perfect, silent unity. Their message was loud without a sound. You will not disrespect her. Not here. Not now. Not ever again. The defense attorney froze. His confidence slipped. He stumbled over his next words, then hurried to end his questions. When it was Corbin's turn to testify, he tried to perform. He tried to charm the room the way he always had. He tried to twist reality into something that made him look reasonable. But Captain Monroe didn't let him. She questioned him patiently, sharply, and without mercy. Every lie he told became a thread she pulled until his whole story fell apart. Little by little, the monster image faded. Not because he became innocent, because he became smaller and weaker than he wanted anyone to see. Just a pathetic man whose mask finally cracked in public. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. The verdict came back. Guilty on all charges. Attempted murder, aggravated assault, interstate stalking. The judge issued the maximum sentence. Corbin would spend the rest of his life in federal prison. And in that moment, I realized something important. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes justice is quiet. Sometimes it's just the heavy, final sound of a prison door locking and staying locked. Months later, my mother was released from treatment. She wasn't the same. She was thinner, slower, and still fragile, but her eyes were clearer than I'd seen in years. Like the fog of fear was finally thinning. We agreed to meet at a quiet park in Palos Verdes, overlooking the ocean, one of my father's favorite places. We sat on a bench watching waves slam into the rocks below. The air smelled like salt and wind. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then, she finally said, softly, "I'm sorry, Maria." Her voice didn't shake. It was quiet, but steady. "I was scared for so long," she continued, staring out at the horizon. "I was too scared to be the mother you needed. I felt tears rise up tears. I thought I'd used up a long time ago. I reached over and took her hand. It felt thin, but her grip on mine was real. "I know, Mom," I said, "and I'm sorry I had to leave you." We didn't need a long speech. We didn't need to fix everything in one day. We just sat there, together, letting the ocean fill the spaces where our words used to fail. And in that silence, we started rebuilding something that had been broken for years. The wounds Corbin left behind didn't disappear. They became scars. But scars can mean more than pain. A scar can also mean survival. And I decided I wasn't going to let my scar be a trophy of his cruelty. I was going to turn it into protection for someone else. With Colonel Thorn S. Bakenyan with the Army supporting the mission, I created a pilot program called Operation Safe Harbor. It asks a confidential hotline and support network for service members and their families who are living through domestic abuse in silence. The military trains us to fight enemies overseas. But sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one sleeping beside you. I used my story of every red flag I ignored, every sign I didn't understand, every pattern of control, and escalation to train officers and senior NCO. I teach them how to notice what's easy to miss, how to step in safely, and how to get help to a soldier and their family before the situation turns deadly. The wound Corbin gave me was meant to mark me. Instead, I made it a shield. My story, the one you've been listening to, has reached its ending. But my journey hasn't. I still serve, but my battlefield has expanded. Some weekends, my mother and I drive to Santa Monica Beach. She brings a book, like she used to. I don't surf anymore, but I sit beside her on the sand and let the California sun warm my face. Corbin tried to drown me in darkness. He failed. He never understood that sometimes the deepest, darkest places are exactly where a person finds the strength to build their own sunrise. My legacy won't be the story of how I survived his attack. My legacy will be the people I helped find their own dawn. Thank you for listening to my story. The truth is, there are millions of survivors, people who have walked through fire and are still healing. If any part of my journey felt familiar to you, I want you to know this. You are not alone. This space is here for our stories, our healing, and our strength. Please subscribe and join our community, because every time one of us stands up and speaks the truth, we shine a light for someone else who is still lost in the dark. Be the light. I'll see you in the comments.